Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I wanted to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I wanted to talk about Marvel arriving in Dungeons and Dragons. Marvel's becoming um, canon to Dungeons and Dragons through the Magic the Gathering bridge. So Marvel's coming to Magic Gathering. Magic Gathering is already canon to Dungeons and Dragons. So every Marvel character will be expected in our Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, which is pretty interesting. So I wanted to talk about a big decision that dungeon masters are going to be faced with. So what is that decision? And that decision specifically is whether to run um, Marvel comic book worlds, Earth 616, or the Marvel MCU world. So that's a very big, distinct difference, right? And each and one thing I would really encourage you to do is there's going to be a transition. It's going to be challenging, telling these stories. And so don't try to do both. You're going to have to pick. You need to pick and say, okay, I'm going to run Dungeons and Dragons MCU, or I'm going to run Dungeons and Dragons MCBU, so Marvel Cinematic Universe or Marvel Comic Book Universe, and I think there might be an opportunity too. This will be one of the first times this has ever happened, but I think Dungeon Masters might want to be prepared for this because I think there's a distinct possibility, whichever one you go for, there are some fans that are so dedicated to Marvel that they will seek different dungeon masters for a different experience. So they will. I think it's quite likely that starting immediately, you will have players seeking out Marvel Cinematic Universe Dungeon Masters and Marvel's comic book universe Dungeon Masters and playing in both, right? Which is really fascinating. And I think that's really important to understand that that's the level of commitment we can expect to see, because truly, Marvel is one of the largest, most expansive um, intellectual properties in the world with one of the most dedicated, excited fan bases that has ever existed. And it will actually mean that we will need to make sure that this is a possibility for players and be, sensitive to their needs. Should you ask your players, or decide for yourself? Decide for yourself, right? I really think we need to start rolling back some of this session zero nonsense. Dungeon masters need to make solid decisions. Make your decision, and then let players decide whether they're going to go. They're going to stay in your MCU D&D campaign, or if they're going to stay in your MCBU campaign. I think that's really important. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.